Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Nims, I saw you in the chat earlier. Hey, let's get it. How's things doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? I'm Graham Day, and this might look like a man wearing a Batman slash Rocky Balboa robe, but it's actually Bibby. It's actually Bibby. Hey.
It's me. It's me.
Just a few pointers first. My internet has just decided to drop down to half the speed. So I'm usually on like 70, 80 meg. I currently have 29 meg. So if Bibby looks pixelated, that's why. He doesn't generally look blocky. Also, if the audio drops out, that's probably why as well. I need to go and kick the shit out of my power line adapters. But other than that, how's everyone doing today? How's things, babe?
Yeah, good. It was different this morning. Obviously, not getting up at 5:30 to travel to Blackpool, and just rolling out of bed and walking into my office. That's quite nice. It's a very underrated feeling. But yeah, I'm much more rested, shall we say, than I was yesterday or the day before.
Lovely, lovely. Yeah, that's.
But you,
See, I'm. It's nice not having to get up and drive to the office kind of thing. In some senses, like some ways, but I'm up anyway because I've got the school run anyway, so I don't actually save any extra time. So I'm still up anyway. The difference is I just save a drive, but the drive's actually quite pleasant at the moment because there's nobody around, so I don't mind
yeah.
the drive.
I was thinking that like the last 2 days, usually like the reason I get up so early in the morning is to obviously beat all of the traffic coming from my side of Manchester to get to Blackpool. I set off usually about 6 o'clock in the morning, so I can get to the office. It's usually for about 7:20. I've been getting there for like 7:05, like 7 o'clock. There's been no traffic anywhere. It's like when you used to feel the difference when it was school holidays. And you'd set off and there'd be no traffic on the road. You think this is mint. You set off now, you think this is mint. If I'm getting onto a slip road and I'm slapping down 70 miles an hour straight off the bat, then there's definitely nobody on the road. Do you know what I mean? That never usually happens.
Well, do you know what? If lockdown two strikes, then maybe it'll stay like that forever. But anyway, we'll put a pin in that because we don't want to get all morbid and shit. We have some good things to talk about on today's show. And for those of you who don't know, we have quite a bit. One, two, three, four, five, at least five different articles, and that's with very, very little touching on. So tonight is Ubisoft Forward. We won't be doing any live coverage of that, and there's very little in this of that because obviously we could include. There's a few articles out there talking about what they expect to feature in it. We do have one thing on it towards the end, but we've kept it quite light because five meaty articles is enough for us to go at anyway. So
I bet we'll get through two of them.
yeah,
We'll get
exactly.
through two of them 'cause we'll be both rabbiting on for 45 minutes.
100%, 100%. Speaking of rabbiting on, I won't rabbit on about it right now, but I can confirm that Ice Cream Uploads are going to be on the launch date twice. On the launch date, on the front page, should I say, twice this month. The first one will be on Pez launch day, that you can see where I got my words fucked up in my head. Has the mic fucking dodgy again? My god. Okay, give me a second. Let's go to the BRB slate. If you're listening to our audio podcast, I apologise. One second.
Mm.
Yeah, audio's all scratchy on my end, says Degnan. Yeah, it's fucking Streamlabs. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, there we go. It's fine now. It's fine now. So like, I'll start streaming, and it'll be fine, and then it'll just go actually. But when it was scratchy and choppy, then it gets even worse. Last night we were streaming Mafia, me and Danielle, and it was even worse than that. It was just like a fucking screams. So I had to like stop the whole fucking thing again and get rid of it then. So yeah, anyway, it should be fixed now. I know what the issue is. It's Streamlabs, but I don't know why the feck it's doing it. Anyway, hopefully we sound good. But what I was saying was, I was talking about rabbiting on. We will be on the front page of Twitch twice this month. So the first one will be on Tuesday, which is Pez launch day. We'll have more information on that, but it'll be from 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so a nice early stream. We should have a few other people on with us as well, but we'll put more information on that when that's all locked in. And then one towards the end of the month. I won't say anything more on that because that's something that we will announce on Tuesday. So yeah, just keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out. Ice Cream Uploads on the front page of Twitch, joined by friends with cool stuff coming. That's all we will say. But anyway, let's jump in. Obviously, I've mentioned my name is Graham. This is Bib. We are Ice Cream, and in true ice creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, your daily dose of news from the world of video games and beyond. And we're going to bring you the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games with our thoughts and impressions. And we want your thoughts and impressions in return on our thoughts and impressions. And that's important that you do that. Get involved. We are live right now, twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. Get involved in the chat if you are here. Just like Nims, Luke, good morning. Degnan, good morning, already have done. Feel free to get involved in the chat because we turn this into a podcast, a video that goes on YouTube, and an audio podcast that goes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play later on in the day. Those guys get to watch and listen on demand, but they don't get to speak right here, right now, in the UK's #1 video game podcast. I mean, that's self-proclaimed, but whatever. It's fine. Luke says, "How are we this morning, anyways?" We're good. We're good now. You can understand us without a going on. But yeah, how about you guys? How's things? Is anybody planning to watch Ubisoft Forward tonight? No. What did everyone think of the Xbox news yesterday? Speaking of which, it's almost like I knew what I was going to start with. Let's jump into our first news article of the day while you guys drop your comments in the chat. There we go. Andy Robinson for VGC says, "It's official. The Xbox Series X will cost £449. I did guess at this yesterday, and I got that exact price. So I'm not saying I'm an absolute oracle, but whatever. Microsoft will launch both the Series X and the Series S consoles on November the 10th. So exactly 2 months today, right to the day. Let's jump into the article. It says, Xbox has officially priced its premium next-gen console, the Xbox Series X, at £449, or $499 in euros, if you're interested in the alternate prices. Like its cheaper Xbox Series S model, Series X will release on Tuesday, November the 10th, Microsoft announced today, with pre-orders set to begin on September the 22nd. So just under 2 weeks for pre-orders to start. Microsoft confirmed that its Xbox All Access payment program would be expanded to 12 countries, offering next-generation Xbox and 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, starting at £20.99 a month with no upfront costs. In addition, the platform holder announced that it's teaming up with Electronic Arts to provide Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members with an EA Play membership at no additional cost starting this holiday. The release date means the console will launch on the same week as key titles such as Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Dirt 5, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Ubisoft also confirmed on Wednesday that the release date of Assassin's Creed Assin, not to be confused with Assassin's Creed, because that's a completely different game, and a certain guy in the chat has exclusive rights to that, so we're not confirming that's anything. But yeah, not to be confused with Bib
at the moment, aren't they? Bib and
Assassin's Creed. So back in again. Ubisoft also confirmed on Wednesday that the release of Assassin's Creed Valhalla would be brought forward a week to November the 10th to coincide with the Series X and S launches. When Xbox Series X and S launches this November, it will herald a new generation of game experience. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer wrote on Xbox.com. Optimized games for Xbox Series X and Series S coming this year are built to take full advantage of our fastest consoles ever. Do you know? I'm going to stop for just a second. Break the immersion for a second. By this point, I think we know the fastest consoles ever, because if you made the next generation of console and it wasn't faster, it'd be a little bit disappointing. But anyway, jump back in. On day one, you will be the first to enjoy next-gen versions of the most anticipated games of the year, such as Gears Tactics, Tetris Effect Connected, and Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion, plus Bidman as an exclusive DLC. He added Xbox. That was Assassin's Creed, by the way. I'm saying it as if you guys can see it. Obviously, audio listeners, that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He added, Xbox Series S is designed around the same technology that will make these games, and so many others look and feel incredible. In speaking to game developers, we identified the areas that are most difficult to scale effectively, including the CPU and I/O, and it made easy to include Xbox Series S for developers who are targeting their experiences for Xbox Series X. Powered By the Xbox Velocity architecture, you can expect the same benefits from the Xbox Series X, such as faster load times and quick resume. Xbox Series S also supports all the same next-gen features, including HDMI 2.1, frame rates up to 120 FPS, DirectX ray tracing, and variable rate shading. Spencer continued, and the new Xbox consoles are the only next-generation backward-compatible consoles that allow you to play thousands of games from 4 generations better than ever before, and empower you to play with friends wherever you want across your console, PC, mobile device. Xbox Series S will release for 250 quid, supporting ray tracing and run games at upscale 4K up to 120 FPS. Microsoft originally announced Xbox Series S on Tuesday following an overnight leak from journalist Brad Sams, who revealed an image of the Series S console's design along with confirmation of the $299 US price point. Xbox Series S is an all-digital console, which, like Series X, will include a custom NVMe SSD, though at 512 gig compared to 1 terabyte, powered by Xbox's Velocity architecture for fast load times, the video says. Sorry, I'm just speeding up through this last bit because we've been through all this before. In comparison, Xbox Series X is able to run games at true 4K and also output 8K resolution for some content. And then we have tech specs, which we can jump back to if needs be. Bip.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Well, you was a lot closer to the actual price tags of these consoles that were coming out because you said 479 for the main one, for the all bells and whistles, and I think you said 379 for the Lockhart.
It was the PS5s. I think I think we based it on the PS as opposed to the Xbox. I said 479 for the PlayStation. I only said 449 for the Xbox. When I said I got that right, that was yesterday after we got the 299 or whatever it was. I said it'd be 449, but that was pretty much nailed on because it was 499 in dollars. So I just took 50 quid off. Jobs are good and today. But yeah, I don't even know if I did guess at a lower price for the lower ended one. I remember the 479 being my top end guess though. Was yours close to 5.6 or something like that?
No, so I think I had 3.7. I was actually expecting them to take a huge loss on the main one, and then go even lower for the. I think it was 279. I think I had for the Lockhart version, so I wasn't far away from that. But obviously, I was miles out with this one because it's near enough £200 dearer than what I originally had down for it. So I was close with the basic model, but with this one, I was way off. But yeah, I mean, now we've got the specifications for both of them. You can see why this costs a lot more because it can do a lot more. The parts that are going to be inside it are going to be, to quote a certain actor, breathtaking. It's going
You're
to
breathtaking.
it's going to be like shit off a shovel. This console, it's going to be absolutely dynamite. I mean, I haven't got the bells and whistles to be able to go out and buy the top end spec because I'd need like a 4K monitor. Don't have that. So for me, I think if I was to choose either of these two, I've always been someone who has an eye for graphics, but my whole gaming experience doesn't resolve around them. I'd much rather have a good experience rather than a beautiful one. So I think I would firmly be in the standard basic console, especially for that price point as well, 249. I said to you this morning, I've been paying like 14, 15 quid for Xbox Ultimate. Didn't realize that you could buy Xbox Game Pass just PC. Very rarely turn on the Xbox, so that would have been benefited me a long time ago. But having that deal for the basic console just to be able to play Games Pass game, I think if I wasn't invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, and yet that kind of puts me down to being potentially a Sony fanboy because I already know that what I'm going to be getting before it even comes out. But I'm heavily invested in that ecosystem. The only chance that I would probably get at getting an Xbox is if I took the finance option. But the likelihood of me playing it with my PC gaming and my PlayStation, I mean, it's very rare that I even turn my PlayStation on now. I play my rounds of PGA each week. Bear in mind, if you are in the ICU Society, the new tournament went live today. But yeah, just play my society games on PGA is probably the only
Chatbot's dead.
reason I actually. It's probably the only reason I turn my Xbox on, PlayStation on nowadays, anyway. But yeah, it's a dynamite price for what you get for both of them. If you're not bothered about the playing at the toppest of top and you don't have the screen and everything to go with it, I'd suggest getting the basic version. But I mean, it's unreal
The
price.
Basica.
The basic version, the standard version. Uh, it's an unreal price to get into next gen for both of these consoles. Really, I didn't think £450 would get you the toppest of top. That's probably, is that around the same price of I can't remember what the new graphics cards are going to be. The
It was,
RTX ones.
I think it was like 499, 699, and 1500 or something like that for the
Yeah,
3070, 3080, and 3090.
yeah, and that's for your PC that you may even have to, like, for me, if I was to get even the entry level graphics card, I'd have to update my CPU and potentially a little bit more RAM as well. So it's an unbelievable deal.
I just started chuckling because Scran My Growler has just said hi in the chat. What a name! Also, good morning to Bacon Chin. He says the boys are here. I hope you're talking about us and not an advert popping up in the middle of the stream
Yeah.
like EA did yesterday, the UFC stuff. Oh my god! Just jumping into the value that Bib was talking about then. So I do have the stats on screen, the specs. So we'll bring this back up now. So the same AMD core processor from the Xbox Series X to S, apart from X has a 3.8 gigahertz, whereas the S has a 3.6. 3.6 on the S with SMT. Don't even know what that is, but you know what? Bigger numbers. Also, it has 52 CUs. Is that computing units? I think it is. So the GPU has 52 CUs, whereas the S only has 20. So there's differences there. Obviously, a third of the teraflops. It has the same system on a chip. Nice. It has smaller RAM. It has less resolution. But the key sort of stuff where you get down to like the storage, 2.4 gig per second uncompressed, 4.8 gig per second uncompressed, compressed storage. So it's the same basically. It's the same SSD, it's just a different size. So, and that's one of the key things in the next generation. Obviously, the fact that there's more processor power, more teraflops, and all that sort of stuff is cool. But the biggest single win, I mean, I'm saying this as if I'm just an expert. I'm absolutely not. I say it as if I'm an expert. You clearly know I'm not, because I've just been going CUs, don't know what that is or whatever. But the single biggest win that has been reported by people that have much more smarts when it comes to game development than me is the speed of the SSD. That changes things for people. I was kind of worried the fact that the SSD is only 512 gig. I mean, anyone with a 500 gig PS4 right now is kind of going, oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, I can store 3 games. I have to delete games to update Warzone. I need a bigger hard drive. So for 512 gig there, that does kind of worry me. I mean, obviously there is the expansion options and stuff, but we're forgetting that kind of stuff because that's post-market pricing. However, in reading around yesterday, I saw some comments saying that developers don't expect video game sizes to go up massively for this next generation, like they have done for the generation that we're just about at the end of. Obviously, we went from 10 to 20 games to 10 to 20 gig games to 100 gig, 150 gig games. And maybe early GTA was quite large, but that was kind of an outlier. That's kind of standard now. So I was instantly thinking, okay, if we're getting 4K textures, then everything's going to go massive. But the way that the SSD works versus a hard disk drive, a HDD, basically a hard disk, they have to put the same graphics in over and over and over again to speed up the loading process. They don't have to do that on an SSD because it's so fast. They can just put the asset in once and leave it, which basically drops down the size for a lot of stuff. So even though they might be upscaling textures with 4K, a lot of it won't be in there as much.
So Duck.
So Duck, Mr. Enix,
Hey.
There he is. He's not been here for a while. How's work, Mr. Busy Man? Sep as well. Thank you very much for the host. Much appreciated, Sep.
Thank you, guys.
Also, oh no, I did shout out Bacon Chin. Degner says, I don't have any 4K monitors or TVs, nor do I have the disposable income for the Series X or PS5. I'd seriously consider S if more games are doing things like crossplay. Yeah, crossplay will be a big thing. Cross-generation. I mean, Call of Duty have already announced cross-generation gaming as well, I believe. I didn't actually see that. I mean, I saw Ninja talking about that yesterday before any of the multiplayer reveal stuff came out last night. And I was like, ooh, that's big. So yeah, there definitely will be a lot. And the thing is, Xbox are kind of positioning the Xbox One S as the bottom, the Xbox Series S or the X, should I say, as being, well, the One S and the One X are the bottom. Then you get the Series X. Or actually, is the One S even considered anymore? Do you know what? I'll start again. Xbox One X, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and that's kind of the way they're tiering the system. But for 250 quid, all in, with a really good all access plan, so they're all access plan. If you can't afford 250 quid at Christmas for a console for your kids or for yourself, then spending £20 a month getting access to the console, getting access to 1,000 backwards compatible games, getting access to all of Xbox's first party releases when they finally start coming out. So Halo will probably be on Game Pass from day one. You get access to all of Game Pass, you can play it on your mobile, you can play it on your PC, all of that for 20 quid a month, all in, is incredible. It's huge. So Xbox, their hardware, they've nailed it. Their customer friendly offering, they've nailed it. The only thing they haven't nailed is the software. But if you aren't in the ecosystem, say even if you're just a PlayStation user and there's a shitload of Xbox games that you've never touched, you could jump in and treat that as a brand new experience because they will all be upscaled. They will all have the benefits of the faster processing power, the quick loading times, I would imagine not fully ray trace, but upscale to incorporate some of the benefits of ray tracing and the technologies there. I imagine if you jump over to Xbox from PlayStation, obviously you've not got your back catalogue of PlayStation games, but you've got a bigger catalogue than you ever would have from Game Pass. So it's an incredible offer to get people in, 100%.
I agree. I was speaking to Willis and Mike about this yesterday as well. Obviously, they're heavily invested in Sony as well, and Willis was telling me he cannot remember on two occasions this generation he's bought 2 physical games. That's it. All the rest of his games have been completely digital. So that kind of automatically handicaps him as to what he wants to do going forward because he's so heavily invested in Sony now. If most of those games are going to be backwards compatible, because they are going to be AAA releases that he's buying, he's very much if a brand new AAA game, he's pretty much buying it. So he will be invested in that ecosystem. They're the games that are going to be backwards compatible. So it's not as if like you can't even see it anymore because Sonic's blocking them. But all my old PS2 games and Xbox 360 games, most of those won't even be backwards compatible with the new consoles. So as much as I would like to have the backwards compatibility, because I don't buy digital games that often unless it's heavily discounted on the PlayStation Store, I'm buying it physical. If the chances are most of them aren't even going to be backwards compatible. So I've still got a choice to a degree. If I could play all of my old PlayStation games, there'd be absolutely one winner. Like there'd be no denying. I've got more PS2 games than I think I've got anything across the board. So yeah, I mean it kind of is still up for a debate with me, but the chances are I'm probably just going to go with the PlayStation again. That's where most of my friends are when it comes to gaming. But even then, that doesn't even matter anymore if it's going to be cross-play across the board for massive AAA titles and games being made going forward, especially if it's going to become the norm.
Yeah. Just jumping into the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye on the conversation that's going. Bacon Chin says it's about mass market saturation. They will have a box in every house without a struggle, even in house of lower income band. It's mental. I mean, it is. That genuinely is. And I wonder if they're losing money on this because that price is incredibly low for a next gen. Obviously, it's not full next gen. You're not got 4K 120 FPS or even 8K. But they've got 1440p 60 FPS. So that's better than what's out there right now at a price cut with obviously ray tracing, SSDs, and all the rest. So it's huge. I'm wondering if they're taking a loss, having it as a flat loss leader. They might not be. If they're buying it enough in bulk, or the fact that they're obviously positioning the One X. That could be the bit that offsets the loss leader on its own. They might have done the maths there, but even if or not, that could be a loss leader just to get in people's houses. Because one thing that they have the issue with is games. I mean, I mentioned there in terms of software, Halo not coming out on launch day. The fact it comes out on November the 10th, I saw an article saying something along the lines of, actually, was it November the 10th? Maybe I'm wrong. I saw an article basically saying either the announcement should have been today or something like that, or the game comes out on November 10th, which is exactly 20 years since Halo first released or something like that. I can't remember. So let's just say it's that one. 20 years to the day, November 10th, that's the day that Halo came out. So if the game came out then it'd be magical. It comes out on the launch day, the same time as the console. Wonderful, yay. but it didn't, and that's a big drop in software. But even take Halo away, there's not enough Xbox games at the moment. But Xbox are changing the conversation.
Mm.
Sony obviously have big games, and Sony are obviously coming with some titles like is it Godfall?
Yeah.
That will be exclusive. I mean, it doesn't kind of sell to me specifically. Posture check, thank you. It doesn't kind of sell to me specifically, but Sony have a lot of games. So they have an install base, which is the main thing. If you have an audience, then they will buy it. Sony have that much more than Xbox do, so they can sit back and rely on that to an extent. But then they're providing the games with it. Xbox need to get past the. I mean, the first part is the onboarding process. I've got no games on Xbox. Why am I going to go there? Okay, Games Pass gives you all the games. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, none of my friends really play on Xbox. Okay, it's cross-platform, so you can just play anywhere for 249 quid. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I mean, they can be quite expensive. Well, this one's only 249 quid, so do you want to get it? So they're slowly chipping away at everything there. The only thing that stops them is exclusives. When someone goes, yeah, but I can play big first party games like The Last of Us and whatever on PlayStation, on Xbox, you have big games that just don't do as well. So Xbox don't have an answer for that yet. That's the only thing that stops them. Birdie Forking! Yeah, I almost said we've got to be wary of how I say that. Anyway, welcome to the stream. How you doing? How you doing? So yeah, that's the only thing that they have to contend with, really. The other things, they have an argument, and it's a really, really well thought through plan in terms of they've picked out the 4 or 5 areas of where people can pull them down and say, nope, this is why I'm going to stick with PlayStation. The only one they can't do anything with is the long game, and that is the titles, the software, the exclusives, the first party games. But Microsoft Studios now has a Marvel-esque logo, as does PlayStation's. And they've been adding to those studios. That would always be a 7-year plan. If you want big first party titles, it's going to take you 5, 6, 7 years to make them. They started buying those up over the last 3 or 4 years. So by the end of next year, the year after, Xbox should be in a place to absolutely smash this out of the park. And if they've sold £250 console to everyone in the UK, or most people in the UK by that point, then you can guarantee if they come out with the Xbox equivalent of The Last of Us, or the Xbox equivalent of Spider-Man's, or God of War's, or things like that, then everyone that didn't have a console then would be seriously looking at going, okay, well, the Series X is actually looking quite tasty now. It's been out a few years. All my mates have got Xboxes for their second console or even their first console. So I'm going to try and jump in now. So they're doing the good. They're doing big moves, but early on, low down. They're almost like working on the foundation rather than hitting the big notes, which I think is probably could turn out to be a very, very clever move.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, especially for like, I'm only talking about my friends from round here. I don't know if it's the same up and down the country, but if you was to buy a console, say for, I don't know, whatever the price is now, £449, if they're making a loss on that, they try to make that back with software, i.e., the games that they will try and sell or the software that they're trying to push. Like round here, a lot of people growing up would just buy FIFA and Call of Duty. They're the only 2 games that people are going to be buying this year. I don't know if that's still the same. I know, like Mike and Willis, for instance, they will just buy them 2 and then rent games from Boomerang and then get them and play them. But tying them down to potentially having Xbox Game Pass all year. Maybe if they don't choose the finance option, they're just paying it as like a monthly subscription and having Xbox Ultimate, which is what, £15 a month. If they're tying them in, eventually they're going to make that money back by tying them down to those things. Like the likelihood of you not signing up to Games Pass after experiencing everything that there is to play on the marketplace, you are going to be paying for that until the next consoles. There's no way that you're going to be cancelling because they're constantly taking stuff down and bringing it back in again. So they will eventually make their money back through the software, regardless of how much they could sell the console for 200 quid, the main one, and still make their money back eventually down the line, maybe 5 or 6 years, but they're still going to make it back and they'll be hugely in profit from it. With everyone who will be buying it, because it's not just aimed at a certain type of person. This will cater for everybody, especially if the console's that cheap. And that's exactly what they've done. They've gone in, they've said, right, finance option, 25 quid for the basic one and 30 quid for the top tier one with Xbox Game Pass for 2 years. After that 2 years, if you've been ramming Xbox Game Pass, you're going to continue that for the next 3 years. So they're going to make their money back off your triple, maybe quadruple the amount of money that you would have spent or just buying the console outright anyway.
Or
So getting
even
you in that
2 years'
ecosystem.
time, and then Xbox's God of War or Last of Us, as I was just talking about before, their first party games start hitting. Even if
Yeah,
you thought, oh well, I've used everything there is on Game Pass. At that point, their first party titles are going to absolutely start spot. You say that they should start knocking it out of the
yeah,
park.
I hope
Everyone
so.
knows, and you kind of feel that Xbox are aware as well that they need to have better games. They need to give better reasons to stay in that ecosystem. As a gamer, the ecosystem is amazing as technology,
Mm,
as that little box that sits in your house and does amazing things. But as a pure exclusive gaming operation, it's not quite there. But
no.
but in 2 years' time, when everything runs out, and they suddenly go, oh, everyone's uh, Game Pass is running out right now. Okay, here's a reason to buy a discounted buying again or whatever. Buy your first 3 months at, I don't know, 10%, 20% off. Also, it'll be just in time to get the new game. If you
Mm,
guarantee they have to be planning ahead 2 years to be doing that, which I mean that's what I'd be doing right now. But
yeah.
if that is what they're doing, then it makes it even more incredible the fact that they've started seeding 2 years in advance of the release of a game, how they are going to get people to sign up
Mhm.
for new subscription services at that point in time. Which hopefully they're thinking that far ahead because that would be good. What are you going to say?
There needs to be a tipping point at some time, though. At some point within the next couple of years, there needs to be a tipping point for how much you're paying for digital games. If they wanted to try and kill the second-hand market, which I mean, as someone who collects games, that annoy the shit out of me because this bookcase here would start to deteriorate, and the rest of my games that are in the box in there, they won't be getting any bigger. But the reason I still buy physical is one, obviously having the physical game in your hand. There's nothing better than that, especially when games I've still got from 25 years ago that are still on the shelf. Obviously, you can't do that with digital titles. Licenses go, you can't re-download the games again, but I can put the disc in and play it. But also the fact that digital games are costing more than it would be to go into the shop and buy it yourself. So you're putting more effort in to go to the shop and exchanging money for a game physically than it is for you to just be sat in the comfort of your own home downloading the game. It's like £10, £15 more. They would have killed this off about 5 years ago if they made that game cheaper. I honestly thought it would be more to buy the disc because they'd have to print the booklets that used to go on the disc. Obviously, we don't get them anymore. Actually, the case there is, and print the discs, then distribution, then everything else that goes on top of that, shipping and Christ knows what else. I thought it'd be cheaper, sorry, more expensive than it would be to digitally. But yet, here we are, £55 a game on the marketplace for a AAA game every single time. That's not even going as far as the digital deluxe editions, which you could be paying upwards of 90 quid. I thought digital would have took off many, many moons ago.
It's
So if
that
you wanted to try and make
convenience, isn't
more,
it? Yeah,
exactly, yeah,
it's the
you're
same
paying
as
more. £15 more for convenience.
it's the
It's more
same as
convenient for me to save 15 quid and go to the shop down the road.
but that's it though. It is sometimes, but for other people it isn't, and that's why they kind of capitalize on it. In terms of, you think back to when you first had your iPod, when you were making the transition. I mean, back in my day, we used to buy CDs, but like you'd go to wherever. HMV or whatever, pick up your CD, spend I don't know £1.99, £2.99 for a CD single. Jobs are good, and
Mhm.
to buy those on iTunes early on was more expensive because iTunes were like, well, it's here, you've got it, you can take it, you don't even need to faff around, you don't have to have the disc with you, you're paying for that convenience. So people started paying for it, and that's where obviously it came in. Obviously, prices started
Yeah,
to drop and normalize there, which they could potentially do in gaming. Maybe not, because gaming prices, as we've said a few times, probably do need to go up to cover the industry in general. Um,
hmm
but yeah, whilst there is a differential, if prices need to go up to cover the industry, then you expect that to go across the industry. You can't have an offset of retail physical brick and mortar versus retail
yeah.
digital download kind of thing. Um,
Imagine if Call of Duty this year though said, right, for the new Call of Duty, £30. It was £30 on to buy it digitally. The digital deluxe edition will be £50. But in the shop, it'll be a little bit more expensive. Obviously, they are still handicapping themselves, especially with the low hard. And that's another thing as well. And the basic, so I say basic, it's really not a basic, but on the lower tier Xbox and PlayStation that's going to be coming out, I'm not too sure of the PlayStation specs yet, but especially for the S that's coming out, 512 hard drive space. We had that on the PlayStation 7 years ago. I still have mine, and I have to delete games on it regularly. If I want to download a new game, something has to go. I'd never bought another hard drive to go inside it. I was 80 quid for an hard drive. Do you know what I mean? I've got how many 50p games from CEX can I buy for 80 quid? But 512 will get you nothing. That's like maybe Warzone, maybe Call of Duty and FIFA potentially. Just
That-
those 2 games.
That's why you kind of think they're leaning on the xCloud then going forward, thinking that okay, well you'll have Game Pass for your main squeeze, but not your side chick, your side game that'll be your xCloud sort of playthrough. Jump
I
back
thought
into.
a terabyte should be standard by now. I honestly thought a terabyte should be industry standard going
It
forward.
probably is. I mean, it's probably cost to get that 249 price to get people in. With the fact that now they've made it easier for expansion. They've put that 512 there just to make it 249, so that people can go in and then they can have the expansion NVMe compatible SSDs.
For
But
150.
yeah, exactly. Jumping back into the chat because there was a lot of stuff going. Jordan says Microsoft's taking mega hits on this pricing. Wonder if Sony would do the same. That's the thing I know. I mean, Arms. Good morning, Arms. By the way, it says so it's a good deal. Shames the games aren't great minus Gears and Forza. But then he goes on to say Sony don't need to take a price cut. They can command what they want. Their exclusives are too good. They can. But where was it as well? There was another comment in response to that. This is a bit where I said, there we go. Chappers says that naivety almost killed the PS3. PS3 was a terrible console. Xbox 360 was Microsoft's best years. The thing is that the PS3 had some really good games on it as well. The issue with the PS3, I mean, there was plenty. It wasn't the greatest console. It was poor design for developers and for games. That's the reason why certain games came out on the PS3 and nothing else, because the cost to emulate those onto other games was just stupidly high. But yeah, Sony were PS2. We've got this in the fucking bag. We don't need to compete. And then obviously PS3 happened, and they smashed it out of the park with their competition in PS4. So we talk it all the time about Xbox. We go first. Here's our price at E3. Sony went, okay, well we do all that but less. It's cheaper. Boom. So it depends where Sony are in their headspace in terms of they are far ahead and it is their game to lose, but they could still snatch defeat from the jaws of victory if they don't do it right. So if they come out and it's more expensive, and if they come out and they don't have any back catalogue stuff, and if they come out and they don't have any reasons for people to stay with PlayStation, some people will do both. Suddenly that offering of Sony of Xbox will just keep drawing their eye away from Sony consoles, and over time it could just happen that people just slip over to the green side from the blue side, and then Sony are then suddenly going, oh shit, we've got to play catch up. We spoke about it before. It's easier to be reckless when you're in second place. Xbox taking a loss potentially on consoles, giving out their best games on a cheap subscription service rather than maximizing profit. These are all reckless. I mean, they're potentially brainwave genius, but it's also potentially reckless. But you will only do reckless, potentially genius stuff if you're in second place, and Xbox are in that place. Sony, I mean, you don't usually see it from someone who's out in front. If you're winning the horse race, just keep going. Just do what you're doing. Don't need to change it up. Why go faster? Because you could tire out and lose the race. So Sony could stick to their guns and just keep with the pricing and not really change things up, which might be slow and steady wins the race, but they might get burnt out. So yeah, I am intrigued. Both points there were good in terms of Sony don't need to mix it up. Yeah, they don't. But you know, there's always a chance. So I would love to see how. I thought we will see. Not would love to. We will see how that progresses. From my perspective, as someone that has always gamed on Sony, I mean, I do have an Xbox and love my Xbox 360 as well. Obviously, because Sony came first, I have a little bit of positive sway towards them, but I'm not a fanboy of any by either stretch. I would like to see Sony continue and smash it rather than just get a little bit complacent, because if Sony become competitive, Microsoft stay competitive, we all benefit. So that's kind of where I wanted to go. Jumping back through the chat, because there was quite a bit more as well. They were so high on their own exclusive and their own hardware that they charged fucking ridiculous amounts and lost a lot of the casual market. Don't get me wrong, the Xbox S is a decent deal. Ultimate Pass is fantastic, but the games just don't look good. I mean, that will change. That I completely agree with that. Like I say, the software is where they will lose out on people to begin with. But the fact that they're even doing finance packages. There was, I think it was on Kind of Funny Games Daily, one thing, a very, very small thing, which wasn't even a big talking point. It was just a a comment in passing that Greg made was along the lines of people don't need to go to like whatever the American equivalent of Bright House is. So a lot of people can't afford to buy consoles, so they have to go to a place that has a stupidly high level of interest and pay 700 quid for a 300 quid console, because that's the only way they can get credit. Whereas if Xbox have all access and allow you to just spend 20 quid a month or whatever, that allows a lot of people that can't get into next gen gaming straight into next gen gaming without
Zero APR as well, wasn't it?
yeah, something like that, which is crazy. It is incredible. West, good morning. Says I'm excited about Xbox Cloud Gaming, but Apple's been a dick and blocking it on their devices. Yep. Speaking of Xbox and Apple, and Fortnite and Apple and so on, there was a comment on YouTube. I read it either last night or this morning.
I was just about to bring that up because I saw it as well when I was watching stuff on YouTube this morning. Someone commented on our video yesterday.
Yeah, it was. I think toxic male or something like that. It was good. It sounded like you were going to be a dick, if I'm going to be honest. But it was actually a really good comment. See if I can find it quickly. I got the email alert. Let me have a quick check. New comment. So the thing though is that Apple's brand is built on quality and more recently privacy by having strict rules on their app store. The user experience has a more consistent standard of quality and safety. The reason the iOS market is so big is because their products and the iOS experience is considered by many to be superior to any other competitor. Apple simply built good products, good quality products and software, and lots of people bought it. The end. To say that they aren't allowed to control their experience on their own devices is kind of ridiculous. People don't have to buy iPhones. I'm reading this on an iPhone, by the way. Their argument that iPhone users are trapped in the ecosystem assumes that these users don't have a choice to buy other phones. Very good comment. Thank you very much for that as well, by the way. It's not so much that
we mentioned yesterday.
Yeah,
like exactly. We was talking about this, saying that to a degree we're actually siding with Apple on this, because if you're signing up to their app store, then you're signing up to everything that comes with it, regardless of how much you have to pay. If they're saying 30%, you sign that contract, mate. You're paying the 30%. Now, I agree with him that a lot of people will pick up iPhones, so I know a lot of people that will do because they're just not interested in the phone. It's a phone that has WhatsApp on, has social media. They're not interested in sideloading apps like I do with my Android phone. If that's the case, you want to not hack it, but put stuff on that isn't available on the app store, then you get an Android. If you just want a very simple, basic, straight down the middle phone, then iPhone is definitely one of the ways to go about it. There's no denying that iPhone isn't a good phone. It's just not for me. But you can't sign a contract to go into the App Store and then somewhere down the line not agree with it and then go your own way. I agree with his comment, but I think he's taken what we said yesterday as a negative. We're still.
I mean, we kind of did argue that though, because we argued both sides of the coin. So you can jump into a contract and then go, "This shit contract, I want out." But also, people shouldn't have the ability to have contracts that are predatory. Is the other thing, the other side of it as well. So Epic are trying to counter predatory contracts, which is a good win for society and all the rest. And that's where the comments of you can't criticize Apple for controlling their own environment. That is a very good point. And the fact that people have a different choice of phone, so they aren't trapped, is a good point. But it's also not entirely valid in the fact that there is very, very few choices, a few legitimate choices in the market. I mean, I could say there's very few choices between getting a HTC, Samsung, Google Pixel, or an iPhone. Someone might go, yeah, well, what about the Huawei whatever, or the OnePlus something or other? Yeah, fine, they are there, but they aren't as good. They don't work as well. They don't work with all the other things, and because of Apple's success, they have taken over basically world domination. But there are laws to protect against that level of world domination. Because if someone just creates something that becomes a way of life, like your iPhone, which I use my iPhone to access my emails, to speak to my mum, to see my sister, who I haven't seen for whatever. I mean, not that I usually ring video call my sister, but it becomes so ingrained in my life that Apple, you see these stories of like like futuristic films, dystopian sort of futures where one brand has got so big that it takes over the world. And there was bits in Red Dwarf where someone made a single, got so big and successful that he earned so much money that he kept buying his own single, so he kept himself at the top of charts. So music became irrelevant, and it's stupid, over the top shit, but there. It's that sort of way, just not as stupid and over the top. And Apple have got so big that they become almost beyond regulation. So because they have a contract that gives them 30%, just because that exists doesn't necessarily mean it's right in the long haul. So having regulation on that stuff isn't bad, even though they've made it, even though it's their own environment. Completely agree with that, but up until a point where it becomes along the lines of where the antitrust laws, in terms of they are so big now that all regulation suits them, that there's no way of stopping them doing what they want, and that's where it all comes from. But yeah, we do agree that the underlying thing is you can't jump into a contract and go, yeah, I fucking love this, until I realise that actually the stuff that the reason you have a contract is usually it's a binding agreement where two people deliver their bits. You buy a phone contract, you get the phone service and the phone. You pay your 30 quid. That's cost and cost. Their cost is the service and the phone and whatever. Your cost is money. You both do your part, and it's mutually beneficial. You can't then just go, actually, I know my phone works well and it does everything it should do, and I've got massively loads of success calling people with my phone, but I actually just don't want to spend as much. So I'm gonna not pay it until you drop my bill. That's not how contracts work. So there is that side of it as well. So we completely see both sides. So Toxic Male 27, I think it was. It was. Do you know what? That wasn't a toxic comment. It was a good comment. Thank you very much. But anyway, back on track, because we're still in the first news article of 5, and we're 52 minutes in. Bacon Chin says, Godfall. Okay, let's skip down a bit because there was a lot of comments. I don't remember a time where a new console launched with a killer lineup, though, says Chappers. Do you know what? You kind of are right, but that's where the phrase launch titles come from. So you'll get things like Uncharted, which is a huge game now. The first Uncharted came out on PS3, I think it was. Or was it PS2? Can't remember. I think it's 3. I'll say 3. And it was a launch title, and it was decent. It wasn't spectacular, but it was good. Resistance and things like that. Obviously, that went off the boil after that. But these sort of games are kind of where the launch stuff comes, and they're usually first party things. There doesn't seem to be as much of that this time. There's no like mid-sized Sony games or mid-sized Xbox games. It's usually Sony going, "Fucking here's a blockbuster, motherfucker." Okay, what about your other 3 games? No, just a fucking blockbuster. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. All right, I'm fine. And they're letting Ubisoft and indie developers and whoever do the secondary games. Arm says CEX will have to become a sex shop. Everyone calls it sex already, right? And wait for someone to trade Tony Hawk at CEX so I can swoop in and nab it. Just stand at the door and wait. When you see someone coming in with Tony Hawks in their hand and CEX go, we'll give you 25 quid for that. You go, I'll give you 27 quid. And that's it. Just walk out of the shop with them. Just wait. Don't even wait for them to sell it. Just buy it off them right there at the till. But I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Annoyingly, the games people that want to keep the games they don't. Okay, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Oh, okay. You're talking about Tony Hawk's. I get you. Wes says, I miss walking home as a kid after buying a new game and reading the instruction manual, which contained backstories and additional content. I miss a good old Monkey Island style ring decoder. I do miss that. I get it, obviously, from an environmental and a cost standpoint of not having stuff like that in there. It is a bit frustrating that the only way you can get that sort of stuff now is to buy the deluxe and limited edition stuff. But yeah, that said, I'd also like to be able to just download the digital games, so swings and roundabouts. I pay the extra because I can't be asked going to the shop. There you go. Here's a thought. What if we see PlayStation announce that they've rethought the PS Now to be like Game Pass? That could be the ace up their sleeve. Both the best first-party games and then the deals in place that publishers have with Xbox. That would be incredible. That would be an absolute incredible. I can't see it either because PlayStation don't need it. Air quotes.
They don't need to give away anything. They literally could just sit for the next 2 or 3 years and not have to do anything. They will only start to panic when things start to go sideways, like it did with Microsoft. Like, there's no denying that Microsoft had the worst start to their console generation since ever in their history. And so they've been playing catch up for the last 7 years, and it's got to a point now where people are actually going, the grass does actually look pretty green on the other side. I mean, fair enough, they might not end up walking over there yet, but it is a viable option this time round. Whereas realistically, the last time it really wasn't. Like there are a lot of people to turn their back. I mean, all the shaggers go from PlayStation One, PlayStation Two, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4. All of the shaggers did that console generation jump. Um, but I was really looking forward to getting an Xbox One because I already had an Xbox 360. The backwards compatibility was definitely something that I was going to enjoy. But what they was offering wasn't anything that I needed. A PlayStation came out, offered me what I wanted, so I jumped ship. It's exactly what's potentially could be happening now, depending on how PlayStation market their stuff. But PlayStation don't have to even consider joining this race because they're still leading it in many people's eyes, whether that be sales of the console and the games and the exclusives. That's the trilogy that they have in their hands at this moment in time. The only thing that two things that play Xbox have at this moment in time is Game Pass, which again, Chappers has reminded everyone the best video game deal of all time, and also the competitively priced consoles that are coming out with the finance option in mind for households that may not be able to afford the 250 sheets from launch. So it's a very, very, very good start, and they haven't even started the race yet. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Chopper says, I always hate the digital option for all games stay at high prices. Who the fuck wants to pay £23 for something like Knack just because Sony want more money? Ask him, Mr. T. Good morning. Says, Knack is a classic. How dare you? Is it? I'm surprised PlayStation hasn't dropped a platinum version of it, says Chappers. Arms says, it's a shame digital retains high prices for so long. You can buy cheap store credit to sort of reduce that cost, but it's still a high RRP. Yeah, that's the thing. So getting your discounted PSN vouchers and stuff where you might save 10% on it, it's still not the 40% markup that you often get and stuff. So yeah, I agree. The pricing of official external hard drive got leaked $219.99 apparently. So 249 quid to buy a console, 220 quid to buy that hard drive. Fuck. Okay, yeah, that's not tasty. Not surprising. People don't understand that NVMe is not cheap in any capacity. Cheapest drive around is 240 quid at the moment. That's the thing, though. People don't understand it. That will come as a painful shock for someone that's just. It's like, I'll just buy another fucking console. Not that you can plug it in, but people will be surprised and shocked at that. Technology is expensive. That's why we didn't have SSDs in the last generation. They were around early on, in their earliest form, but we didn't. There was no way we could have looked at SSDs because new tech is expensive. But yeah, PS5 will be $399.99 disc, $299.99 all digital. Says ads. Nah, it won't. It's too low. It's too low. You think ads? I was thinking because Sony seem like they're up their own arse again after another console generation when they'll charge more. I saw 479. I could still see that, but do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised at 399 if they go 399. They've got the games and the pricing on lock. That suddenly changes everything. So they were quick to change at the end of the PS3 generation. They had gone from, I mean, Baby talking about Shaggers going PS1, PS2, Xbox 360, PS4. I did that, but also on the Xbox 360, I had a PS3, and by the end of the generation, the PS3 became my core console more than my Xbox 360. So Sony kind of had my attention, but absolutely nailed my attention with their like aggressive strategies. Then, if they do that again, then that's just it's got to be big things. If they rest on their laurels, they can get potentially more profit early on, but they open up the potential for more competition going forward.
I still think they'll double down. I honestly do. I think they will be more than happy to not even bother contemplating scalping Xbox. I think they'll just go in with whatever price plan they had in mind. They'll obviously take the. I don't think they'll take a hit on their consoles whatsoever. If anything, it'll just be for cost. Um, but I can't see them doubling down. I think they have what is the install base now? Is it like 112 million PlayStation 4s out in the wild?
Yeah,
Something ridiculous like that. How many of those have just been buying digitally for the last 5 or 6 years? They know they've got these customers in the palm of their hand. Like I say, whether or not this is complacency from their part, thinking they've got Xbox, they've got PlayStations, they've already been invested in our ecosystem. We can go at whatever I want, and people will lap it up, and then end up having a worse experience than they have potentially had this year, compared to what Xbox have been doing on the other side to try and ramp up. But they've been in second place, so they can afford to make these bold strategic strategies to try and get people to come back and look at their console. Microsoft have just been running Sony have just been running a one horse race for the longest time. So I think they would just balls to the wall. They would just go out at either cost price or a little bit more, make all the profit that they need, and then hopefully try and entice people to still remain on that console. I don't think they have to do much to get people to go out and buy it. I mean, like you, I'm going straight out. I will be buying a PlayStation. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. Fair enough, the Xbox looks like it's a nice place to be able to play your games to start off with, but I've got quite a lot still invested in the PlayStation. I know I mentioned beforehand about me having physical games a lot of the time, but I still have a catalogue of PlayStation Plus games that I've been getting for free for the last 6 years or 7 years, however long the console's been out for. So I still have a lot to invest, even though it hasn't cost me a penny.
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at the chat, catching up. I mean, I say I'm catching up. I'm nowhere near catching up in the chat, so I will have to start skipping past quite a bit. Asim says, all three companies have a different strategy, really. Xbox service-based, PlayStation console exclusives-based, Nintendo IP-based. There is no console war, despite what fanboys, fangirls might want to argue. Well, exactly. This generation, if anything, has proven that there is no war. There is different levels of financial success, but that's all relative. Sony have won if you just go off of pounds earned in the whole generation. But if you go off of
Console sold.
yeah, exactly. But if you go off consoles sold in the last year, Nintendo have won. If you go over customer-friendly strategy that is changing the landscape for more of the long term, then Xbox have won. All three of them have earned more money than they will ever need. And they will continue to do so. So the war isn't necessarily between the companies; it's between the tribalism that sits below it. So basically, guys, sort your shit out. Honestly, God, man, God. Shaun says, I think Microsoft are going down their classic route with providing software solution, Game Pass Windows, and offering hardware solution to run it on Xbox PC. And then the fact that Game Pass available on PC suggests that the model that they're going down, which seems like a winner for me. I mean, that is the future, having just the gaming opportunity. Everything in history has told us that we want to get rid of multiple things, get rid of physical ties. We want to be footloose. We want to do what we want, where we want it, and taking it. And having Xbox as a system rather than a console, as a platform that's across multiple devices and multiple ways to play, that is the future, as opposed to having that physical box. That is something that has been a game conversation for the last two generations, and I think we'll still have at least one more generation of some box that you put in your living room that you sit around, because there's been a lot of research into that. That's still a core principle of gaming for a lot of families and so on. But knowing that Microsoft took a huge hit in the console issue goes to where Phil said he got approval from the head of Microsoft to basically aggressively price the console. Microsoft can do it with the mad amount of money they have. It will be interesting if Sony do it. Microsoft must be confident their pricing with to beat Sony's. Okay. Yeah, I'm not convinced Sony will undercut. I think it would be incredible if they did. I'm not convinced that they will. David says, you call Mum and Steph, but not me. Now I know where I stand with you. Well, at least you know. There you go. Cheeto says, I'll gladly pay the $28.99 a month for a Series 1X Game Pass Live and xCloud. Also, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's still a bargain. Still a bargain. Nintendo has good launch titles. Breath of the Wild was out on Switch release. I want to use PlayStation and worked for them for a while, but when Xbox came out, Halo turned my head, and now I've never looked back. Until Halo came out, and then it turned your head back around again. Well, the last trailer, should I say, I'm going to check in bit of pants. I always buy the Xbox regardless of whether I get a PS5 or not, just based on how invested I am in Halo and Gears of War. I buy the Xbox for the idea of being able to have an Xbox for multiple titles and stuff, but genuinely, this last generation. So when I was saying I had the Xbox 360 and got the PS3, I got the PS3 to be able to play PlayStation games. I have an Xbox. I only have an Xbox One S rather than One X because it's my secondary console. But there is little exclusive on Xbox that drags my attention back to firing up the Xbox. Literally, that Xbox is a Twitch streaming device so that I can watch Twitch on TV. That's literally all I use it for. So the principle in my head is I want both of them so I can play all games, but in reality, Xbox doesn't drag me in enough because cross-platform games I can play on my PlayStation. The big exclusives will be on my PlayStation, and the Xbox exclusives just don't interest me anymore. So I used to like Gears. Okay. Didn't even bother with Gears 5. I wasn't fussed. Halo, never caught my attention. They need something else, which is what we'll get in 2 or 3 years. If Halo looked good and came out with the Xbox If Halo looked good and came out with the Xbox with this deal and pricing, I'd be 100% invested in Xbox fully. If Sony undercut, that's great. I'm waiting to see the PS5 price and what they offer for launch since I got rid of everything Xbox. Unlucky! In my opinion, Nintendo are actually the best. They're just under the radar and look like the underdogs. I mean, they do now. They do now. Rewind 2 years, and you weren't confident you could say that about Nintendo, because Nintendo can be confusing and patchy. They can absolutely smash it, lads. But yeah, they can do. Sumner, good morning. And Baker Chin says, "Admit it, lads, you're not getting into any other topic today." we said. I was trying to just catch up so that we can move on. Okay, we'll move on because the next topic isn't really another topic. So. This was touched on by Chappers, I think. It says Xbox Game Pass for PC exits beta next week, and the price is going up. Written by Shaun Prescott for PC Gamer. Imagine paying for Xbox like Game Pass Ultimate for everything when you could have just been paying for Xbox Game Pass PC. Imagine being that person, and imagine finding that out just as the PC price is going up. Bib.
This is the article which made me realise.
I'll jump into the article then before we jump onto that. The introductory price will be phased out just in time for Bib to realise. Xbox Game Pass for PC has been bizarrely cheap since it launched into beta last year. An initial $1 trial a month rolled into $5 per month subscription, which was more than worth it for a library of over 100 games. But all good things must come to an end, and starting next week, Xbox Game Pass for PC will exit beta, and its monthly price will double. It's not unexpected. The $5 per month was always a limited offer, and the usual $10 a month is about what you'd expect to pay for a subscription service. For reference, in the US, Netflix standard is $13 and Spotify $13 and Spotify is $10. According to an official tweet, the service will enter general availability, which seems to suggest that it'll be available in more regions, though at the time of writing, these regions aren't specified anyway. Meanwhile, if you already have a subscription and your billing day is approaching, you'll still pay the introductory rate. The price increase coincides with, but is probably not related to, the addition of EA Play to Xbox Game Pass for PC. We hadn't even really touched on this, by the way. Also, shout out to Chappers for dropping that story in the ICU Discord yesterday as well. Much appreciated. That means the service automatically includes whatever is in EA's vault, stuff like The Sims, Mass Effect, Battlefield, and more. It's part of Microsoft's big next-gen info blowout this week, which has seen an official price and release date for its flagship Xbox Series X console. So, if you want to play games on your PC and you haven't been paying $15 a month for a Game Pass access across multiple devices, despite you only needing to spend 1/3 of that to get it on PC, well, you now have to spend 2/3 of that. I mean, good news, Bib, you will save money, but bad news, not as much as you've been spending.
Damn it, Meg.
Damn it, Meg. To me, there's no reason to get an Xbox if I've got a PC and Game Pass. If I'm getting a next-gen console, it's a PS5 because of the exclusivity. Blooming Xbox Game Pass being the best deal in gaming and harming Xbox sales. I mean, that's the thing. Xbox aren't trying to sell boxes. The Xbox principle is kind of gone or is being phased out. This generation is the start of the end of the Xbox. They should just change the name to X, because soon there will be no box. The X, you can play it on a box. Well, no need for a box. You can play X on the box, or you can play X on PC, or X on mobile, or X Cloud. So, yeah, they want to get rid of the need for the box, but there is still a reason to have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate on a console, because there are some games that aren't available on PC. There are games that come out first on console, so you have to wait longer for PC, so it's not as attractive an option, but it is still a very, very good option. So yeah, I mean, if you have a PlayStation and you're not bothered about the games on the console and getting them early and so on, it's still an attractive secondary option. Like the Switch isn't your main console for most people. They see it as an alternative option. Xbox has the option for being your primary console, but also the option to be your alternate console as well with PC Game Pass. Obviously, it's not a console, but it's a secondary. It's another option to get access to Xbox games, which is a nice little addition. Xbox realizing, okay, we're not getting you, so we have an option to get some money off you as well. Saw something yesterday. Devs have leaked that Nintendo has asked them to upscale to 4K in some of the games that have come out. Yeah, we covered that one yesterday. We did. We did. By the way, news for you: Nintendo's new Switch Pro won't have games just for that version of the Switch. It was confirmed. NX, what's funny is the Switch already can do 4K if you clock it, whatever that means. I think if you jailbreak it, so the Switch is already capable of 4K. It just turns into like boiling hot magma after 3 minutes of gameplay. Wait, is EA Play included in the Xbox Game Pass on PC then, without really raising the price? Why, we only just cancelled my EA Play because I was all about potentially hopping on the hype of Xbox Game Pass being the best deal in gaming. Yeah, I mean, that is something we haven't even really touched on yet. Xbox getting EA Play. So EA Play is, I mean, what was it called previously? EA Access? Because they've changed all the naming to like merge it all in. EA Access, where you get access to to EA games and you get discounts on other stuff as well. That is a subscription service that you pay for, and that is included in your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So that ridiculously good deal in gaming that gives you access to shitloads of games and a back catalogue of thousands of games, and plus new games on launch days, and having access to them on PC, on not all of them, but most of them on PC and so on. That now gives you access to EA Play, which used to be EA Access, within it at no extra cost, which is ridiculous. Once again, Xbox absolutely nailing their launch details. Do you know what?
You know what? I've just gone onto the Xbox app on my PC, and it says that it's going to be £4 every month, but the first month's £1. But I thought I'd already had that deal, but that was obviously for Xbox Ultimate, where it was what, like £3 for 3 months,
Yeah.
and then after that I've been paying whatever I've been paying for it. But the first month's £1. So guess what?
Cha-ching!
He's back, baby.
Okay.
Quality.
Okay, do you know what? We are gonna fly through the rest of the news articles just to make sure that we go over them. Because Baby isn't around. You're not around for Scoop tomorrow, are you?
I will be
there it
at Hollins Hall losing about 700 golf balls
So okay, yeah,
on a golfing trip.
we'll quickly fly through these now then, just in case we don't have a stand-in bid for the Scoop tomorrow. So the next article is on Call of Duty. So Treyarch reveals Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer details. No specialists, new modes, Warzone integration, and more. Activision has premiered a Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer mode and confirmed an open beta starting on October the 8th. PS4 pre-order customers will gain first access to the beta, followed by general PS4 players on October the 10th, then other pre-order customers on October 15th, and general access on the 17th. The most significant change to Cold War's multiplayer is the absence of specialists featured in the past two Black Ops games. Wildcards and score streaks will feature in the game, as well as field upgrades such as Field Mic and Jammer are equipable by players. Players should expect to see familiar core modes such as Team Deathmatch and Search and Destroy, Domination and Kill confirmed, in addition to new modes such as VIP Escort, Combined Arms, and Fire Team which offer large-scale 12v12 and 40-player battles. More details on Black Ops Cold War multiplayer can be found on the Activision website. Activision previously confirmed the new premium game will share content with free-to-player? Typos! They clearly just wanted to get this article out, didn't they? Free-to-play Warzone, just as Modern Warfare does currently. Black Ops Cold War includes shared progression with Warzone, adding inventory items that can be used in both games. Plus, Warzone players will still have access to Modern Warfare content they earned previously, like operators and weapon blueprints. More details will be revealed on Black Ops Warzone integration at a later date. Activision said, as previously reported by VGC, a Black Ops-themed Warzone map revamp is in the works. Cold War is described as the direct sequel to the original Black Ops and is set for release on PC, current and next-gen consoles on November 13th. Yeah, we'll leave that there. We don't need the final pre-order line. So Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer details have been released. There is a video within that as well, a multiplayer reveal trailer. We won't play the video on stream, but I will drop the link into the chat to the article if you do want to have a look through that. I imagine with it being a COD trailer, there will be some sort of audio soundtrack that we can't play, and yeah, nobody wants strikes for playing copyrighted content and stuff. So the link is in the chat if you want to watch through the video. I haven't actually seen through it, so I can't tell you what it is. Have you seen through any of this content, babe?
Yes, I also saw the zombie teaser yesterday as well. I think this is probably the first Call of Duty that I've been potentially a little bit excited about for a while. I think I like the theme, and from the trailers, we'll say the story, like the storyline tease. I think it will be a good game, especially for single. Again, who'd have thought it'd be like single player games, but I am looking forward to this one. I do love a good zombies mode, and I do like a little bit of team deathmatch. So I think this is probably the one I will be picking up.
I mean, zombies and team deathmatch, I'm on board with. The Cold War era is just for people that have very little going on in their lives. If anyone is a fan of Cold War, waits for Chappers to comment. Waits for Chappers to comment. Waits for Chappers. Oh, is it? Chappers is a Cold War fan. He said it quite a few times. But anyway, no. See, I like I said, Black Ops is where I phased out. Not Black Ops as a series, but just as my general attention to not PUBG, to COD. So I was hyped for Modern Warfare and Warzone. I'm less hyped for Black Ops. Fuck off, GD. I knew it was good.
I was waiting for it.
I'm less hyped for Black Ops than I was for those, and I'm also less hyped for Zombies. I know Zombies was huge, but I think Zombies came just too late for me to really get into it. I have played a lot with friends and like being sat up at silly o'clock in the morning in the Kino der Untoten or whatever, Sinner of the Dead, or Undead, which was that like Black Ops 2, I think it was, where you were inside the cinema and all of the zombies are bursting your way in, and you've got that big fucking machine thing weapon that you get to turn on, and that was kind of good, but anything with wave modes just never really appealed to me. So the zombie stuff I didn't like as much. What a lot of people find like their attention towards zombies is what I'm kind of like towards battle royale. People like battle royale, some people don't. People like wave and horde mode, some people don't. So yeah, didn't really get zombies. I am quite hyped for it though, because one thing they did do, and they have done recently, with the re-releasing Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered on PS Plus as well last month. They've realised that having a game without a campaign is shit. So that you've got to feel. Black Ops was one of the stronger campaign series in COD history. This has got to be really good, surely. So yeah, I am Black Ops 1. There we go. Kino der Toten. Graham, get it sorted. See, I told you, it's just a naff genre, naff era. Nobody really pays attention. So yeah. Wink, wink. Oh, okay. Anyway, so yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops revealed all of the multiplayer details yesterday, and we would usually jump into that in a bit more detail, but time is of the essence because we chatted about the Xbox for so long. So we'll jump into the next bit of news, which is on PUBG, but this time PUBG Mobile, which has now made $3.5 billion from microtransactions. People are spending a lot of money on the free-to-play Battle Royale game. Surprise, surprise, written by Eddie Makuch for GameSpot. PUBG Mobile is a giant success, with research from Sensor Tower reporting that the game has now surpassed $3.5 billion in revenue from microtransactions since its release. The game is growing fast, as the lifetime revenue for the game was estimated to be $3 billion back in July. The game needed just 72 days to add $500 million more, which works out at about $7 million per day. Woof! Almost the same as Bibby's wages. In 2020 alone, PUBG Mobile has reached $1.8 billion in microtransaction spending. The new numbers for the game cover both main PUBG Mobile and the Chinese version, which is called Game for Peace, and is weird as fuck if you've ever seen the content on it. The biggest market for PUBG Mobile is China, where players have collectively spent $1.9 billion on the game over its lifetime, and that's on iOS alone. The US, the second biggest market for PUBG Mobile, with Japan following in third. Regarding platforms, the iOS edition of PUBG Mobile has accounted for 80% of microtransaction sales, according to Sensor Tower, and in terms of its reach, PUBG Mobile has reached 770 million downloads around the world on all platforms. The game has added 198 million new downloads so far in 2020, Sensor Tower told. Massive numbers. The key thing for me there is that, going on to the conversation we had a little bit earlier, using the YouTube comment on iOS and so on, 80% of all PUBG revenue, microtransaction sales revenue, should I say, has come through iOS. And that's the thing where people are going, do you know what? It's, if you don't want the system, don't use it. But if they are on all mobile devices, but 80% of their revenue comes through iOS, that shows you the power that Apple has. I mean, it shows you also the power and the benefits that Apple offer. You can put your game on Android and whatever stores might exist, or allow people to download it and sideload it, if that's the correct phrase. I don't know. I don't play much mobile game myself, but that shows just how positive Apple can be for your brand. They can add 80% of your fucking revenue But if it's 80% with 30% gone, then big numbers and so there is that. It continues with the both sides of a coin sort of story there. If you want massive revenue, then stick it on iOS, where they will take a massive chunk of it, but you also get more. So it's like, do you want a bigger percentage of less, or would you want a smaller percentage of more? But it's those sort of things, and that's where you kind of like, is it making a deal with the devil, or is it granting success that you wouldn't have had without them? And that's kind of the trade-off. God, Battle Royale, who plays that? Especially PUBG. Silly game for silly people. This silly person got 12 kill win, first game of the stream yesterday. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
I had Bibby's younger brother in the stream going, "Where's Mike?" I was like, he's not here. He's just not committed to actually uploads and you guys watching. So he's just said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." So I decided to play PUBG rather than Master League. Anyway, 8 kills into the game. He's like, "Wow, you're really good at this game, aren't you?" In my head, I was like, don't fuck this up. Anyway, managed to sit out 12 kill win. Pow!
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it might be to start playing.
Oh, he did.
Oh yeah, fight mate.
The worst thing is,
for him, so you never played a bit.
I usually would have allowed someone to jump in. I like the idea of playing duos or so on stream. Sometimes, like, solos is really good because you can interact with the chat. Duos is good because it becomes less like snaky. But I was only on for like an hour and a half yesterday, so I was just like, I've only got like 3 or 4 games in me, so maybe next time.
Don't let him play with you anyway. He'll just say something stupid and just make yourself look a complete twat.
Okay, noted. Play with feathers, get your ass tickled. Cold War. Okay.
Is that a Max and Paddy quote I hear there?
Well, there's an interesting thing. Finally, this was the bit that I did mention earlier on. We're taking a quick tangent there. So PUBG Mobile earning shitloads of money, as you'd kind of expect, despite the fact that it's now not available in India. Although I heard that there was campaigns to get it reinstated or to get the Game for Peace version available in India. But yeah, been no update on that. But what we do have an update on is that Ubisoft leaks the Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake with some images. Reverse history, written by Yin-Poole for Eurogamer. This article says, here's another Ubisoft leak for the bulging ledger Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. The existence of a Prince of Persia remake had already leaked, but now, courtesy of the Russian Uplay, we now know the remake is of much-loved 2003 platformer The Sands of Time. The images, spotted by eagle-eyed Reset Era user Andrew DTF, I wonder if that's... Do you know what? I'm not going to say what DTF stands for. Don't really do the game any... The images don't really do the game any favours in the looks department. The memes have already begun. But this isn't exactly how Ubisoft hoped the world would get its first look at its prince in his fancy clothes. Expect a full and official reveal tonight during the Ubisoft Forward event. It didn't actually add the word reveal there. I've just done your editing for you there, Wes, so you're good. Expect a full and official tonight during the Ubisoft Forward event. So yes, Ubisoft Forward is tonight. We aren't covering that. So you guys feel free to check it out for yourself. I mean, you can do anyway. That's the same thing with anything. We aren't covering it, but expect Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake to be featured in that. And hopefully it looks better than those images that we've just seen, because that looks a bit naff. But we'll see. It is a 2003 game, but if you're going to make a game that's that old, then you want to do the Mafia treatment. Look how good that looks as a remade game. Speaking of which, I played through Mafia 2 last night, and we will continue to play through on the channel. I wonder if the Indian version will be classed as a re-release now that PUBG Corp are doing it. In terms of the Game for Peace without Tencent, are they doing it without Tencent? Interesting. I mean, they might have to do that anyway to get it around. Basically, the whole PUBG being banned in India comes around fears of the Chinese government having like espionage reasons for being involved in companies. So large Chinese companies, India is fearing that they offer security risks in terms of spies and all of that shit. So Tencent is a large has a large controlling part in PUBG Mobile. Essentially, it's massively all developed by Tencent. So a Game for Peace isn't, I believe. So that's why they're kind of trying to change it. But yeah, I don't know. We will see. Anyway, let's wrap things up. An hour and 25 minutes into another long old episode of... See, this is what happens when you starve us of console news for months and we get it. Yesterday's were like an hour and a half. Today's like an hour and a half. Or Monday's was like an hour and a half at least. So yeah, when we finally get news, it all just comes spilling out and we just can't shut the fuck up. But we will now. We will know. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us through the stream. It means a lot. We've had a lot of viewers in here and a lot of chatters to the point where I couldn't even keep up with the chat for the majority of it. But we do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. Not so much with chappers, but for everyone else, yeah, we do with Alan Jack. We love you, chappers. We love you, chappers. But yes, if you want to get involved, the next episode of The Scoop could be tomorrow, if not next week. But yeah, do you know what? I'm interrupting Bibby's spiel, so I'll shut up there. Bacon Chin says, great chat. Thanks, mate. Thank you very much for being here. We are going to jump off. I will jump back on with a little bit more PUBG, as we usually do on a Thursday. A reminder, there will be no Masters of the League tomorrow. Bibby has an actual day off. So we didn't have put Masters of the League yesterday because we were doing content within the Ice Cream studio. We're now back in the studio. Well, we aren't today, but we are now going to be back in the studio a bit more often. Speaking of the studio as well, there will be no Masters of the League tomorrow. There will be Masters of the League on Monday, and we will have more PES content on Tuesday because PES 2021 does come out on Tuesday, and we are going to be on the Twitch front page from 2 p.m. with a few of our friends as well. So if you want to see us playing PES 2021 and see us watching other people play PES 2021, as we're going to have... do you know what, actually, no more details. I'll leave it as that. Spoilers. We're going to have some people joining us on stream on the front page. More information will be coming out either today, tomorrow, or on Monday. Follow us on social media to get those links. Anyway, before we do drop off and get set for all the other 1,000,001 things that we've got to do you, in your Batman attire, have anything to add?
Yes, guys, you know the drill. If you do see any video game news that you want us to feature on this show, then please do get in contact with us. There's two ways you can do so. First of all, find us on all social media platforms. It's at Ice Cream Uploads across absolutely everything. Very unique name. Nobody else has it. It's great style. The second place is obviously to catch us in our Discord. If you are a Twitch subscriber, please, we've said this a million times, but we have more subscribers on this channel than we do in our Discord part of the channel. So if you are a Twitch subscriber, please go over to our Discord, register yourself, link the accounts up together, and then you'll be able to enter some of our loot drops. We have actually got stuff that we haven't given away yet, which I have right behind me. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I still have stuff behind me. So the only way that you'll be able to find out what it is and how you can get your hands on it is by getting into that Discord. Also, there is a very small section in there as well called The Scoop. Just drop in the thoughts and impressions along with the article itself. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions at a later date, most likely Monday, unless Graham can find someone to host with them tomorrow.
Yeah. So potentially a show tomorrow. We will keep you updated. I mean, nobody wants to listen to me chat shit for an hour, which I mean I do most of the time anyway. I do stop to take some breath where Bibby can finally get some words in, but usually it's me just chatting shit at you. But yeah, without Bib allowing me to catch that breath, I would faint. And nobody wants to see that on stream because TOS and that we'll get banned. But anyway. You what? Toss. Jenkins says, your dono window only allows 20 letters. Not very encouraging. It's because we know what you're like, Jenkins. We know what you're like. Do you know, I might actually... I'll have a look at that one, see if we can loosen it up, because 20 characters is not a lot at all. That's like 3 words with spaces. Also, when will you stream the Team Golf Invitational that I just totally made up in my head?
Wait, believe it or not, it's not something that you've had in your head.
We maybe soon. We might have some PGA stuff on the way. We might not. The only way you can find out is by sticking around. We will. But yeah, PES stuff first. So next week, PES stuff, and then following that, more PES stuff. But very soon, some PGA stuff. The Mighty Thor, the actual Thor. Wow.
Show me your hammer.
Odin's beard. Show me your hammer. And then when you finish with that, get Mjolnir out. Yay! Son of Odin. Anyway, let's go. We are going to drop off as mentioned. I'll jump off and I'll jump straight back on with some PUBG content. So stick around. But anyway, thank you very much, guys. And do you know what? Bib's not going to be around tomorrow, so Bib, what they got to do?
Stay frosty, motherfucker.
Sounded like a chicken.